What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel. Check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak about the Spurs and Victor Wembanyama, right? And anytime I talk about a basketball player, and I feel like a player is not giving their all. I always say that or any athlete that's not giving it all, they're not putting in that extra work. I always say, like a part-time athlete can't compete or beat an athlete that's putting in full time and in most cases time and a half, right? There's those guys that's out there getting that extra work in and they grind so they can get better and improve. But Victor Wembanyama is like the exception to the rule. Now, off the court, I don't know how they manage him, like for practice and things like that. But whatever they do off the court, and in practice and stuff to manage him and to make sure that he don't break down is working. Because you got Victor Wembanyama who played, I think, 24 minutes their game against the Clippers when they came back by I think they was like 19 or maybe 20 something points down. and Victor Wembanyama, like I said, played 24 minutes, and every minute that he played on the court, I just think was so important to bring that team back. And he was already coming off of a win against who they beat. They beat Detroit. And they just gave Detroit the business, right? And so this was a back-to-back. They had a back-to-back, and next thing you know, they found themselves down to the Clippers, Kawhi, and those guys, man, and they battled back. And this guy right here, man, for 24 minutes, this guy is just dominant, man. And a thing about what I like about him is Victor Wembanyama, in my opinion, is probably going to be the face of the league because he's going to make everybody around this league, the NBA, have to elevate their game just to be even able to compete with him. Like I said, who they beat? They beat Detroit. Detroit is like one of the best is number one team in the East. They've been beating they've been beating the hell out of Shea and OKC. They beat Houston. I mean, they beat everybody, man. And so they're the hottest team right now in the NBA. And now Scat was recently said the same thing. He was talking about them, and he made a lot of great points, basically saying some of the same things that I'm saying. But I'm going to go to the audio from Scat Attack and come back and give some more of my input on this Spurs team. And it's not even just about Victor Wembanyama, right? I'm watching what's that guy name? The Harper guy, the Harper kid, the rookie, he really good. Then you have De'Aaron Fox, man. This guy it's so hard to stay in front of De'Aaron Fox. I watched him against the Houston Rockets, and like his foot speed, his first step is just crazy. It's just hard to stay in front of him. So they this team is loaded. But let me go to Scab Attack, get his take on what's going on with the Spurs, and then I'm gonna come back and give you some more of my input.
Well, the San Antonio Spurs were in action last night against the LA Clippers, and they mounted an absolute furious comeback, a comeback for the ages for the San Antonio Spurs. More on that in a moment, but look, there would have been no shame in just mailing this one in for the Spurs like, basically every other team in the NBA would have done. It came on a back-to-back. They played the Detroit Pistons the night before, one of the most physical teams in the NBA, the team with the best record in the Eastern Conference, and the Spurs actually just worked the Pistons 121-106. The win just continued a running theme for the San Antonio Spurs over the last now month plus. They are the hottest team in the entire NBA. They came into this matchup last night against the Clippers, winners of 12 of their last 13 games overall. But look, this is the NBA, and there are things like schedules to be played out. And this was the San Antonio Spurs' fourth game in 6 days. So some guys kind of were on minutes restriction to some degree. Victor Wembanyama, for instance, played only 21 minutes in this game.
Oh, damn. I thought he played 24. This guy only played 21. They played 21 minutes and beat the the Los Angeles Clippers, man. That is, I thought he played 24, but then that just goes to show how efficient and how dominant this guy is. Because when he in there, he just he just make every minute count, every minute. On any other team, when your best basketball player, your star player, only played 24 minutes, everybody else would have lost that game. Even if a lot of times your main guy have to log heavy minutes in order for you, depending on how good your team is, you got to log heavy minutes for your team to be even successful.
And on the back-to-back, the Clippers were out quickly and all over the Spurs. They were up early, up 7 at the end of the first quarter. They were up 20 at the end of the first half. And the lead swelled for the LA Clippers to 25 points midway through the third quarter. But there is no quit in this San Antonio Spurs team. A cue they take, obviously, from their leader, Victor Wembanyama, who in only 21 minutes of play was still monumental for his Spurs. 27 points and 10 rebounds in just those 21 minutes, and a plus 10 for San Antonio on the.
So he got a double-double, 27 points and 10 rebounds in just 21 minutes, a double-double. That's, that's really crazy. That's scary. And as a matter of fact, it's scary for the rest of the league. Because if you got a guy playing 21 minutes and wait till he gets stronger, I don't know how old this guy is. He probably like about 20, 21, something like that. But just wait until this guy, like, his body matures and he gets more, he gets stronger and he's able to log heavy minutes. This is going to be scary for the rest of the league. Like I said, I like it because everybody around the league just going to have to level up their you're going to have to raise your bar. You raise the bar of play, and that's when you get good basketball. Like, teams are already, I already know they already thinking about, man, how can we beat the Spurs team? How can we beat Victor Wembanyama? And I think, like I said, and I said in other videos, you're going to have to be physical with him all game long and wear him down. Like back in the day when guys like Kareem played and all those big centers, you got to get them off their spot. You got to be physical with them. And to do that, to be physical with them all game long, you're going to need a center and a power forward. And I'm talking about big power forwards like you had back in the day. Guys who that's all their job was to just be physical with your best low post ball player. That's the way you're going to have to wear Victor Wembanyama down. But it's not going to be easy because he just do so many things. But I would prefer to have him the further away from the basket that Victor plays, the better for his opponent. But now, he, and his first year he did that. He played away from the basket more than what he's playing now. But since he found out that, he could score at will in the paint, that's what, closer to the basket, that's all he's been doing.
And Vic, while he didn't play often in this game, he was there at the end when it really mattered, making massive plays down the stretch as the Spurs mount their ferocious comeback on the Clippers, overcome a 25-point deficit again in the third quarter, and just keep this hot stretch running for them. Winners now of 13 of their last 14 games. They have lost only one game since February 1st. But I want to attract your attention to this emotional display of Victor Wembanyama and really his entire San Antonio Spurs teammates following this win, a 116-112 win over the Clippers. Look at that display of.
So I don't have, the video to show you the display though. But when you see this is a regular season game. This not a playoff game. This not a championship game. They're coming off a back-to-back. And this team was so hungry for this win that, they fought back from 25 down. And then when they got the win, they celebrated like they won, like this was a playoff game or something, and it wasn't the kind of celebration where they was rubbing their victory in their opponent's face. But I think this right here is just like more confirmation to them to know that they can come back, that they can do this type of thing. And this is gonna be scary for the rest of the league, man. And like I said, I'm here for it because I like, my team is the Detroit Pistons. That's my pick. I don't have a team, but that's my pick out the East is the Detroit Pistons. And whoever he see, whether it's Boston, because now they have Jason Tatum back, you're gonna have to, man, you really gonna have to raise your level of play. This guy just raised the bar. The Spurs have just raised the bar because you can't come in here and half step and think that you're going to beat the Spurs, man. Like they won what 13 out of 14 or 12 out of 13, something like that. That's crazy. So that's my take on it. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to leave a comment. And with that being said, I'm gonna check you out in the next video. Peace.